All right, I think it's good now. What's going on, y'all? I'm Warren Cars back again, here with another car buyer's guide. Today, I'm going to be doing the Honda S2000. A lot of you guys know that I'm not really a big fan of Honda. I think that the platform being mostly front-wheel drive isn't really something that interests me. I'm not a big fan of front-wheel drive. I really tend to go all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive only, and that is why I stay away from Hondas. But here we have the S2000, one of two Honda models, well, two available in the US that had rear-wheel drive. This one, the S2000, and the Acura NSX, or just the NSX because it could be Honda or Acura. I mean, I would talk about the US, Acura in the US, but you get what I mean. Yeah, not really a big fan of Hondas, but I do like the S2000. I like the engine, how it's placed the right way in the engine bay. I like the rear-wheel drive. I like the small nimbleness. I like the high revving nature. So I think this car is actually going along with the rest of the cars in this series, something that I think will appreciate with value as time goes on. But before we get into the features, options, and problems, do some announcements. Yeah, so I'm back. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. But yeah, we're back. I missed my Monday because I had to stay a little bit later with family. I had to switch my flights and everything. That's why I didn't stream on Monday. I'm going to make that up for you tomorrow. I'm going to stream tomorrow and then Friday. And then we'll see about next week streaming 5 days a week. Just so I can bang out these videos because I got a ton of them on the list. So yeah, if you want to follow along with what we talk about on the show, you can join my Discord. As you can see, there's only one other member. Shout out to him. M. Shout out to you, M. But yeah, join this so you can get all the documents regarding what I talk about. It literally just gives you the show notes so you know, and you can follow and then also reference it at a later time. Also, go give my Instagram, my Alternate Reality Autos Instagram, a follow. I post AI car content. I usually was doing photos. That's what I was doing for the most part until recently. I actually started doing videos. So you can see I did some little AI videos here. They look pretty cool. Still working out the kinks. As you can see, there's still a little bit of morphing that goes along in the background. You can see the building is kind of don't physically react how expected, but it's a work in progress. It's pretty cool that we have the technology now to be able to turn still photos into images or into videos. So yeah, I'm going to be improving on this. Just something to do as a hobby for now, but figure out how to monetize that later. Also follow my personal Instagrams. Everything is in the description below. So let's get on to the features, options, and problems. Let's go to paint first. Open this thing. Actually, let's get this photo. Wow, that is huge. I'll make this 15%. Wow, that's still too big. All right. I should really do this before the show. I don't know why I always mess with this stupid stuff during. Let's see. Let's make this 10. Good enough. Cool. So moving on to the features. Let's see real quick. All right. So the Honda S2000 was available from 2000 to 2009. It was facelifted in 2004. So 2000 to 2003 is going to be the AP1. This is the model designation, and 2004 to 2009 is going to be the AP2. The AP1 featured the F20C engine, which is a 2-liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine, and the F22, which was featured in the AP2, is a 2.2-liter, which is a stroked version of the F20. The F20 made 237 horsepower and 153 pound-feet of torque, and the F22 made 237 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. The differences between these engines is two things, the redline and the torque. For the F20, it had a higher redline of 9,000 RPMs, which actually makes this car one of the highest revving production cars ever offered for sale. but it also, like, they changed. Basically, there wasn't enough torque with this original conception of the engine for normal everyday driving. It was great on track, and when you hit the VTEC, it was very powerful, but you had to get above like 5,000-6,000 RPM to be able to hit the power range. In the F22, they made the RPM, the max RPM, 8,800 RPM, which is a little bit lower, and gave it some more low-end grunt. The problem is that what people like the Honda S2000 for is the high revving, light nature of the car, and this F22 just kind of made it more generic by giving it less of that top-end power in exchange for low-end torque. They only came with a 6-speed manual, so no automatics for the S2000. They only weighed around 2,800 pounds is like the ballpark of what they weighed in at. Some differences between the AP1 and AP2, which we'll get into all the differences for the options. I'm just going to go over year by year what happened with this car, because it's just a lot of different things. So some of the big things are revised suspension in the AP2, cup holders, there were 2 instead of 1, just kind of speaks to how they were trying to make this car a little bit more practical than the AP1. And then you had cosmetic changes. So let's get into options. The thing is with the S2000 is that it really didn't have that many options besides the colors and what was available by the dealership. So the dealership would option some stuff on themselves. And so what we have here is just a link for what we're about to look at right now. So let's do that real quick. Minimize this stuff. Get rid of that. Cool. And it's going to be a lot, but I'm going to try to breeze through it because not all of it is really necessary for what we're doing right now. So for 2001, the first model year 2000, but 2001, it did not have a clock. It was intentionally left out to be more of a race car. It became standard equipment in 2001. So 2000s are unique in that aspect. They offered a wind deflector as an option, but it became standard, and red floor mats were available. In 2002, the plastic rear window, because this is a convertible, all of them are convertible. So the first original model year actually had a plastic rear window. They put in a glass window. The plastic rear window got all scratched up. It got foggy. It was just not very high quality. And it wasn't good for a car that was going to be used for more than just track use. Like these cars are made to be driven around every day. You have, let's see, as you can see, the suspension was tuned a little bit from 2001 to 2002. Stiffness reduced. Gas basically is just recalibrated to be a little bit more drivable. Anti-roll bars were made smaller. The rear springs have a new part number. Stereos were upgraded 20 to 30 watts per channel, in addition to door-mounted tweeters, so an upgraded speaker system. The solid aluminum shift knob in the first model year was changed to be a combination of leather and aluminum. You have some interior color changes. You have stereo bass controls. A lot of stuff was added for the 2002 model year. You have a more powerful HVAC system, different color trims. Let's see, what else are these big ones? Yeah, so we have some aesthetic changes as well. Trunk lid shape's a little bit different to meet federal safety standards. Different tack design. The outside Honda badges are a little bit larger. And some paint colors were changed. In the US, Sebring Silver replaced Silverstone Metallic, and Suzuka Blue Metallic was added. Red and black interior was changed to all white interior. And some engine upgrades. The mid-model year, the banjo bolts and the engine lubrication system were upgraded from 2 holes to 4 holes each. So in 2003, they had a little bit of changes. The only change to offer to white cars was the tan interior. They say the clutch disc was changed in 2003. Yep. 2003 is pretty similar to 2004. I'd say that because 2004 is when they updated the S2000, the facelift, I'd say that the optimal year, if you want to get the high revving AP1 model, is the 03, because it had all the upgrades kind of standard stuff. And then if you want the best model, you should get a late model AP2. So that's going to be an 09, 08, 07. But the best value, the best bargain is probably going to be in the 03s, the AP1s, because they do command a little bit less. So here we have a bunch of upgrades. We're going to start with the engine. To improve torque output, Honda engineers stroked the aluminum 4 cylinders to 6.7 millimeters to deliver another 160 cc's of displacement with a slightly under square configuration. The power arrives at 7,800 RPM, 500 RPM lower than previous being the F20C engine. This is because of the piston speed from the long stroke layout. That wouldn't work with a high RPM basically, so they had to lower the max RPM. Compression was bumped up. Again, it had more low-end torque. Highway gas mileage dropped by 1 mile per gallon. Yep, just a bunch of performance upgrades. They basically changed they tweaked everything that was being like found out to be problems, and not problems, but like inputs from people and customers driving the first generation. They just changed everything basically. Changed the brake feel, better acceleration in first gear. We got the bigger displacement engine, an improvement in oil consumption. Transmission has a tighter secondary gear reduction ratio, more snap on the line, and better characteristics to match a new motor. They also called intermediate ratio, and this is the 4th gear after the transmission. Okay. So they made the gear ratios a little bit better to be more drivable. Basically what they did was they made the AP2 a more drivable version of the AP1. It's a little bit more convenient to have every day. Longer high gear ratios and shorter gear ratio. So basically for the lower gears, it has shorter gear ratios. For the higher gears, it had longer gear ratios, just making it more usable across the board. You have a redesigned clutch case, redesigned diff, steering and suspension. Front spring rates increased by 7%. Rear spring rates were softened by 10%. So adjusting everything, rear stabilizer was reduced. Basically, they made the car a little bit, overall, they made it a little looser. They wanted to be as stiff, not as track focused. And this was all in 2004. So big changes in 2004. I wouldn't recommend getting a 2004 simply because of the testament that you should not get the first model year of anything unless you're trying to get the best deal. So if you want to get an updated AP2, I say you get a later model year. So the wheels and tires are also wider in the front and the rear. The brakes are improved, and the interior has a new look, exterior and interior. So for the exterior, we have a new nose job with wider air intake and new headlights above it. Fake brake openings reshaped to move inward. New HID headlights using projector beams. New LED taillights. Lower appearing rear bumper. Reshaped exhaust pipes. Now they're ovals. Spiral double horn unit replaces current flat double horn. New color, Rio yellow pearl, and they dropped Spa yellow. And in the interior, they had new combination of red and black seats. They added them back. More sculpted door panel inserts. Increased shoulder room by 1/2 inch. They has a wave ignition key to make copying more difficult. Reshaped steering wheel. New tweeter and mid-range speaker housings. Metallic look trim. New center console with 2 beverage holders. Dash changes, including a new gauge cluster. Reshaped roll where the start button and radio controls are located, and a restyle aluminum finish. So people say that, you know, the performance is a little bit better, but it did understeer around the skid pad. Interesting. So in 2005, the MSRP went up, but that's about it. In 2006, the MSRP went up again. They introduced a drive-by-wire throttle system. In the 2006 and up, you don't have the throttle cable anymore. In old cars, you used to be able to literally see the throttle cable in the engine bay. On these new cars, it is now drive-by-wire. And so that, I mean, there's a lot of tunability, just making it more electronic and more in the modern age. Cruise control was added. Idle hour control motor has been eliminated. Just yep. Vehicle stability assist was added. So a lot of nannies to help the driver. The wheels were 20 pounds heavier. Redesigned road wheels. Daytime running lights. Yeah, a lot of things here. For new seats, 4 of the speakers were integrated into the roll bar speakers. I don't know what that means. Interesting. New intake manifold, only 1 cam sensor, new style map sensor. Yeah, so because when they switched to drive-by-wire, a lot of the different they basically, how do I explain this the best? When you switch to more electronic systems, you have to add a bunch of sensors to be able to control and basically read the different systems of the car, right? So if you have drive-by-wire, now you have to have a whole bunch of other sensors to be able to operate the drive-by-wire system correctly. When you add these other sensors, you also have the ability to add a whole bunch of other things, such as vehicle stability assist. Everything is electronic now. This is why it has new sensors. It's just a completely different system now. It's big change. A lot of other stuff too that I'm really not going to get into because it's really complicated and not that important for just shopping on the surface, which is what we're doing today. In the 2007 model year, they added some color combos. We have Rio Yellow Pearl plus black, new Formula Red and black, Silverstone and black Silverstone with black and red, Berlina black and black, Grand Prix white with a red and black, and basically these plus whatevers are the interiors and the beginnings are the exteriors, and Laguna blue with black. Suzuka and Sebring silver. Suzuka blue and Sebring silver are no longer offered for 2007. 2008, they revised the spring and damper tuning that subtly influences steering feel and high-speed vehicle behavior. So that they changed the stiffness of the front springs again and made the rear spring stiffer again, even though they made them 10% less stiff before. So they went back to what they had. Instrument panels had a minor change. Meter now reside along the center form. Gotcha. So we have a different dash. And let's see some other stuff. New wheel design, tire pressure monitoring system added. And let's see. So, and that's basically it. Model year 2008. We're going to stop there. In 2009, I guess this was written at a time where the 2009 didn't have much information, but you really don't see any 2009s, and I don't really know of the differences between the 2009 and 2008, so we're just going to treat them the same for the sake of this exercise. Moving back on to problems. There's not too many problems, being that it is a Honda, but there are some you have to keep in mind. Another thing I want to add to this is rust. The thing is with these early 2000s Japanese cars is that they rust. If you find a car that's been in a rusty part of the country or a cold part of the country where they have inclement weather, be very careful of the rust, because the car may look good on the outside and from the top, but once you look on the bottom, you'll see that the subframes are rotting away, and you just don't want that type of car. But so we'll start at the beginning. Valve chatter. So basically this is the valve timing chain issue, the guides, the chains, the whole system. You want to make sure that it doesn't chatter after the car is warmed up. It can chatter in the beginning. That's expected before the oil has a chance to make its way up to the top of the valve train. But if it's still warm and still chattering, you might have a timing chain guide issue. The valve retainers were updated in 04, so there is valve retainer issues in the AP1. You want to also keep in mind the idle air control valve for prior to 06 models is something that also failed, so make sure you get that looked at. You want to see if it shifts hard even after warm up. These cars do tend to grind gears and shift hard in the earlier models, specifically when the car is cold. After the car warms up, you want to make sure that it shifts very smoothly. Like after the first 50 shifts or so, you really don't want to have a car that has transmission issues for obvious reasons. You also want to check that the VIN on the body panels all match up. These cars are essentially race cars for the street. People like to do race car things with them, including crash them. So a lot of them do have bodywork done. You can check to see if the body panels are original because each body panel has the car VIN on it. You can also check with the magnet to see if there's a bunch of Bondo or any type of bodywork being done. And then finally, you want to make sure that the fit and finish of the interior and exterior panels is to your expectations. This will give you an insight into, you know, what kind of damage the car has had in the past, if it's had any at all. You want to make sure that all the panel gaps are lined up really nicely. Honda, they make a good car in terms of quality, and it lasts long, and it shows with the panel gaps from the factory. These cars are pretty well put together, so make sure that everything lines up and looks good. But yeah, other than that, oh, another option that I didn't mention is the OEM roof. That is highly desirable. It wasn't desirable at the time, so a lot of people either don't have it or they have an aftermarket roof. You want to make sure that if you get one with the roof, it comes with the OEM one. It is said that the roof can add up to $5,000 of value on top of the car. So if you can get a car with a roof for the price of a car without a roof, you'll be doing good by default. Like, you can sell the roof and make your money back. So let's move on from the features, options, problems, and to the ads themselves. Starting off on Facebook, we have a 2000 model year. First model year, 218,000 miles. This is a ton of miles for this car in a red color. As you can see, one thing I love about this car is how far back the engine is. It's pretty much behind the front wheels, making it a front mid-engine car. As you can see, the strut towers, this is kind of where the middle of the front wheels would be, and you can see the front of the block is behind that. Clean example, even though it has a ton of miles. Actually, I lied. This is not a clean example. I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I said that. Like, as I'm moving on to these pictures, everything is messed up. But yeah, if you want something cheap, as you can see, cheap. These cars are going up in price. 2000. This car doesn't even, like, when you think about what you're getting on paper, this car is not all that. You're getting 240 horsepower, 150 pound-feet of torque, a 4-cylinder, 2-seater Honda with 220,000 miles. You're like, why am I paying almost 17 grand for that? That's what I'm saying. These cars are going to go up in value, and that's why I'm trying to give you this information now, so you can capitalize on this before they go crazy. All right. Yeah, for this, we're just getting into it right now. I don't think this is worth 16.5 at all, but being that these are becoming more collectible, I'd say this is worth 12 grand that I'd pay for it. 11.5 to 12 is what I'd be comfortable paying for something like this, just simply because it is very cosmetically rough. It has an upgraded flywheel, upgraded clutch, has a full cat exhaust with a test pipe and Tane coilovers. AC works, top still works. It has a Mako paint job. The paint sucks. The motor's still stock. He wants to buy a truck. Has a title in hand. Clean title. Yep, 12 grand, man. This is what I'd pay for this car. It is pretty beat cosmetically, and these aren't like little things. Like, you're gonna have to get a whole new bumper. This isn't a respray. Seat is looking pretty bad. These bolsters are destroyed. You got wear from in the armrest and the door. We got wear on the handle. Just an overall rough car. Moving on, we have another red example. This one is an 06, so it's an AP2 model. As you can tell, the front fascia is different. The brake ducts, the fake brake ducts, are moved inward as opposed to being outward, as well as having a different light design. Simply, this is on the front. Nice color. Everything looks pretty stock. This car looks decent. 126,000 miles, and they're asking for 21.9. See the interior. Interior looks actually pretty good. Seat doesn't look nearly as worn as the other one, but it does have a little bit of wear. Not as much wear on the panels. It does have an aftermarket screen, as you can see. One thing I love about the S2000 is the digital tach. Very ahead of its time. We got a hole in the top, not good. So yeah, this car is in okay condition. It's better than the last one, certainly, but it does have some cosmetic flaws, and that top is a big problem for me. I don't really want to mess with the top. If it has a hole in it, I wish you could include the OEM roof, so I just wouldn't have to mess with it. But it is a 2006, so we're going to give it some slack in terms of price. Yeah, not really anything about the car besides the radio. I'd say that this car, I wouldn't pay over 17 for it. Maybe 17.5. It is a 2006, so 17.5 would be a really good deal. but it does need some cosmetic attention, and it doesn't really say anything about the engine. So yeah, or if any of the parts have been replaced, such as the clutch. It has 126,000 miles, so if it hasn't, it's probably going to be due, and that's going to be on you. Here we have a 2005 S2000. They're asking 23.5. This one has 83,000 miles, a lot lower miles than the previous examples. This one also has a front lip spoiler that has been painted and scuffed. Painted, scuffed, and peeled. We also have some paint fade here up at the upper hood by the windshield. Interior does look clean though. Passenger side specifically looks clean. Driver's side looks a little bit more worn. These bolsters are a big issue in these cars simply because they're so narrow. These seats are not very wide at all. Like if I sit in the S2000 seat, I won't be able to fit like laterally, even though I'm not like a fat person. The seats are just small. Like if you're weighing over 160, 170, you're going to be snug in these seats. And that is why the bolsters are always destroyed on them, because they just destroy the seats getting in and out because most people are bigger than that size. As you can see, ton of wrinkles. It's going to be par for the course for this car. 23.5 though. This is a 2005, so it is a AP2. Not the first model year either, so that's a plus. This front lip spoiler is a little beat. The paint is fading a little bit. 23.5 is a little bit high for me. I wouldn't go over 19.5, but I would say that this car for 20 grand would be a decent car to get. It has some lowering springs, tinted windows, valve adjustment, which is good. It has the valves looked at. 23.5 for the quick sale. Yeah, I would pay 19.5 for this, but 20 would also be good simply because it has low miles. Here we have a 2008, 1 year before the last model year. Look how clean this looks. They improved the seats. Look how the seats, they're much wider than compared to these seats. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but this part right here is just wider to sit in than improve the seats. They made the tack white, as you can see. Very clean car. This is a prime example. Only 15,000 miles. Beautiful example, and a crazy price. $53,750 for this car for a 2008, 15,000 miles. This thing is basically brand new, and this guy knows what he has, and that price is insane. That price is crazy. 54 grand for this car. I would pay 35 grand simply because, I mean, like, I don't really even want to buy this type of car. Like, this isn't for me. I'm not a collector. I like to drive cars, and I don't like losing money. I'm pretty sure we can agree on that. So I wouldn't, like, this is a car that if you drive, you're going to lose money. And I don't buy cars to look at them. I buy them to drive. So I wouldn't pay more than 35, but I don't think that he would sell this car for 35. I'm not the buyer, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And then here we have a 2004 S2000 with the OEM hardtop. This is my favorite way the car comes. I'm not a convertible fan unless it's really a hardtop. I don't really like soft top convertibles all that much simply because they tear and they look aged after a while. But this one is super nice. As you can see, it has the blue interior. Super cool spec, light blue with the blue interior. I really like this car a lot. This is something that I'd have if I were to get an S2000, something like this with a unique interior spec and the hardtop roof. 148,000 miles. Let's see what they have to say. 6-year ceramic coat, OEM hardtop, convertible top deleted. That's good. Get that out of here. Brand new tires, spark plugs, valve adjustment, transmission, differential, coolant service, new clutch, cylinder. Everything you could possibly need to be done to this car has been done. It's on coilovers, has HKS exhaust, SSR wheels, asking 24 grand for a 2004 first model year, the AP2. What do I think? I think that I would take the risk on this car, being that it has all this work done, has the OEM hardtop for 24 grand. Given that it has an OEM hardtop, I would pay up to 21 for this car. It's just a beautiful spec. I love it. The fitment, the color, the OEM hardtop, the interior. 21 grand. I really like this car. This is something that I'd buy for myself personally. Moving on to Auto Trader, we have a 2004 with 155,000 and they only want 17 grand for it. Looks pretty clean. Silver car with a red and black interior. This red and black interior is pretty nice. I do like that spec, especially with the gray exterior, silver or gray. Has the red carpets as well. It's pretty nice in my opinion. I don't really see anything wrong with it. It has a clean title and no accidents. A few cosmetic issues, overall great condition. I believe it. It doesn't seem like it has that much going on with it. It's a nice spec. The only problem is we don't know about its mechanical service history. And $17,000, I'm willing to bet that not much has been done and he's just trying. He probably got it around 100,000 miles. It was serviced then. Maybe, this is just speculation by the way. But he put some miles on it and now he just wants to sell it because he got what he wanted out of it. He's ready to move on. So I would definitely contact the owner about the service history on this car. If it all checks out, I'd say I'd be willing to pay up to 16 for this car. This car is pretty spot on the money. It's an AP2, high miles, and it's a good spec. So 16 grand for this car would be pretty good in my opinion. Here we have an 05 yellow car. If you're getting an S2000, I highly recommend getting something that's not black, silver. Get the yellow car, get one with a cool red or black interior or the blue interior or something. You want to make sure that you get the most unique spec you can possibly afford, simply because that's what makes these cars stand out. They're not very powerful, they're not very fast, but a cool spec will sell the car. Bolster is destroyed. As you can see, everything looks pretty standard, a little bit worn, but it does have 130,000 miles. They want 22 for this car. 2005, 130,000 miles, a little bit worn. It's an alright spec, it's kind of cool. I'd say I'd be willing to pay, this one I said 16. This one, since it has lower miles and it is a later model year, I'd be willing to pay up to 17.5, possibly even 18 for this car. Here we have an 03 in this blue color. Very clean example in terms of its presentation. I love when people take the time to put tire shine on their wheels. It just makes the car pop. So good job to whoever took these photos. Ton of photos. This one also has the blue interior. This one is another blue on blue car. One of my favorite specs. But it does have the stock convertible top and I do not see any OEM top. 24 grand. This does have lower miles, 86,000 miles for 2003. This is going to be an AP1 model year. If you're going to get an AP1 version of the car, I'd recommend getting an 03 simply because it is the latest version of that model. High revving engine, 24 grand, 25 grand actually is a little bit high for what I'd be willing to pay for an AP1. I'd say for something with this low miles, I'd be willing to pay up to 18,000 for an AP1 with this many miles. 18,000 is where I'm at. Here we have a silver on black 2007 example. As you can see, a lot of engine upgrades in terms of the filters and the air intake. Top looks in all right condition. Silver car. Where are the interior pictures? Interior looks okay. Doesn't look too bad. We have silver on black, pretty basic spec. So you want to make sure if you're getting a car like this that it does have some service history that's going for it, because in terms of everything else, you're not really like you're paying a lot of money. 34 grand, 79,000 miles. I probably would pay up to 27, 26 for this, simply because it's not a spec that I would desire. It's pretty standard. I'm only willing really to pay top dollar on a cooler spec. This one is pretty regular. And it doesn't come with the OEM roof or anything. Let's see if it has any. So they upgraded coilovers, K&N air intake, carbon fiber air intake dam, brand new Robin saw. Okay, so it has a new top. That's good. That's good. I can take that in consideration. I was at 17, or I was at 27, I think. At 27. Yeah, we'll say 27. 10,000 has serpentine belt and spark plugs, engine oil, diff oil. Man, transmission oil, replace one component, shifter. So these are the issues. Tires and needs. Has 2 chips in the windshield, scratches in the driver's seat. Original clutch. This car has a lot of miles for the original clutch. 80 grand. It's going to get there soon, probably in the next 15 to 20 grand. Missing front grille, insert, minor scratches, and the wheels have scuffs. So yeah, I wouldn't be willing to pay over 27 for this. It needs a clutch soon. That's one big job. And it hints at more jobs to come. Moving on to a final model year, 2009 Honda S2000. They want $70,000. So what's so special about this car? Well, it looks like it has a wide body. It also has a cool, nice little front splitter. I don't know what to call it, front bumper, and a splitter. Has side skirts. It has wheels. It's a cool spec, white on black and red. Has the rear diffuser as well. So, I mean, you're getting a really good spec here. There's not really much you can complain about in terms of the presentation of the car itself. Oh, and it's single turbo. This has a lot going for it. Single turbo, very desirable. This thing will literally break necks at a car meet. People love these cars, especially when they put forced induction on them. I just wanted to include it because it was super crazy, the price, and I see why. It has a mod list. We have fully built turbo. It was tuned by Speed Factory Racing. Has sleeper mode. 612 horsepower. Holy crap. That is a lot. 17 PSI. That's kind of insane now that I think about it. How is it pushing 612 wheel horsepower at 17 PSI? I guess because it's just revs so high. That's crazy. Okay, so we have suspension upgrades. Pretty much everything. Has the front lip. So we have fully built motor, 9:1 compression ratio, turbo kit. Yeah, I mean, this is a cool car. Very nice build, very specific buyer in mind. But 70 grand, man. If I were to make an offer on this, 45 grand. Take it or leave it. 45 grand. Moving on to car gurus. We have a yellow 2001 example. 17,144. What a strange price they're asking. 182,000 miles. Ton of miles. Getting a little bit up there in terms of miles. And as you can see, like these cars, especially the AP ones, they degrade super fast, especially with these high miles in terms of the interior. They just look it. This looks like 180,000 miles. Seats are rough. Buttons are rough. Shifter's rough. Everything's rough. Look at that. Tore up. Tore up. Also with these the 2001s and 2000s, they had a carpet center tunnel that was changed later to like a plastic leather type of thing. Engine cover looks rough. This car is just in rough condition. I'd pay 13 to 14 grand for this car simply because it is beat. And it is this rough on the top. What does it look like on the bottom? Here we have an 06 black car. I do like black. You guys know that black is my favorite color on cars. And this roof is not looking too promising, as you can see. Aftermarket wheel. Seats destroyed. I don't know if this car was left with the top down or something, but and some animals were living in it. I don't know, but the seats are gross. This car is pretty rough in general, and it is not worth this 20 grand they're asking. 150,000 miles. This car is rough for 150,000 miles. If I have to say so myself, I would not even consider buying this car for myself. It is way too rough cosmetically for something that I would want to buy. So I'd have to lowball the crap out of them to get a deal that I'd actually feel that is fitting. So I'd say 13 grand simply because of the interior is a mess. 13 grand. That's where I'm at. Here we have a 2002 with the red interior. This is the all red interior. I love the all red interior. You usually only see the black interior or red and black combos, but here we have the all red interior. Highly desirable in my opinion, and could command a premium price. This car is an AP1 black with the red interior, 88,000 miles, so low miles, and they're only asking 22.7 for this car. I'd be willing to pay up to 19 for this car. Honestly, I mean, maybe even 19.5 to 19 to 20 grand is pretty good for this car, in my opinion. It has under 90,000 miles. It's super cool spec. It doesn't look too worn. And it has a clean title and no accidents reported. You just want to make sure that you get some service records on what has been done. It has 88,000 miles, so it might be due for a big service soon, and that's going to, again, fall on you. So make sure you consider that into the price, and that is simply why I would pay like 19 for this car. I could go up to 20 depending on the service history. Moving on, we have another yellow example. This is a 2006 yellow car with a black interior. The yellow is one of the most desirable colors in this car. It's very, it's like one of the poster colors, in my opinion. Not too many pictures for this one, but wait, I'm confused. Okay, that was weird. There are a ton of pictures for this one, excuse me. Very clean car. How are the miles? 92,000 miles. See how this one almost has 100,000 miles, but look how clean the interior is compared to other cars. You can see a little bit of wear on the driver's seat, obviously. That is unavoidable, but also I do see a little bit of a panel gap right here on the hood. Not sure what that means, but it is something to take into consideration. Maybe this hood or maybe the bumper has been resprayed. You can't tell in the photos because the quality isn't high enough, or maybe it's just a new bumper in general. But I do see a little bit of a panel gap there. You can kind of see it here too. It doesn't really line up with the fender and the bumper and the hood. There's kind of something going on there. You can see it in this one too as well. So because of all that and the higher miles, I'd say for the 2006 with 92,000 miles, I'd be willing to pay up to 22 to 23. I do think that the price is high, and I also see some concern with the body panel gap fitment. So 22 to 23 is where I'm at for this car. I really only price the cool interior cars higher because that's what I think will sell in the future. So keeping that in mind, we're moving on to the last example. We have a 2009. They're asking $67,990. This car looks very clean in my opinion. I can't really tell honestly what has been done to make it look so nice, because it looks like a nice clean build. I think it's the wheels, the stance, the spoiler. I do believe it has something going on with the front bumper as well. But here we have a all red interior with the white car. Again, going to command a premium. I don't know about $70,000 premium, but it will command premium over other cars. This one has 44,000 miles. Let's see. Nothing really said about the engine. I'm assuming that it's completely stock. Even though the other one didn't have a big turbo and they're asking a little bit more, I wouldn't pay more than 40 grand for this car. Not even 35 grand actually. It's like, I don't know why they're asking so much. I don't know what performance. Yeah, it's from a dealer, so they probably not even looking at it like that. You don't know what performance mod's been done. I assume something has been done if it is commanding this much of a price. I don't see any boost gauges or anything. So, really don't know what has been done mechanically to this car, but 70 grand is not it. So yeah, that wraps up what we were talking about today about the S2000. Again, these cars are going to be highly collectible in the future. One of the very few cars Honda has made that is rear-wheel drive. Today they only make the S660, which is like the S2000 was a 2-liter sports car, right? 2000 cc's. The S660 is a key car available in Japan with 660 cc's, small car, rear-wheel drive, but that's the only other rear-wheel drive car Honda is making right now. These cars are going to go down in history because of their high revving engines. So I suggest you get an AP1 if that's what you're all about. An AP2 is going to be more drivable, and it's going to get, obviously it's going to command a higher price because they're going to be newer models and they're going to be having less miles and less beat. But if you can find a really clean AP1 example, especially a 2003 model year in a cool color like the all red interior or blue interior, that is going to be something that I recommend getting. I recommend getting the AP1 simply because you will be able to save money on the price, as well as get a more pedigree design car, a car design more for the track and racing than everyday use. What happened with the S2000 was, as it was released as like super track focused, super race ready. And as the years went on, they made it more appealing to the masses. So if you want to get something truly collectible, I suggest getting an 03. If you want to get something that is going to keep its value the best and probably be the most expensive later on, I see you get an AP2. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up this buyer's guide. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Go like the video, y'all. Helps the algorithm. Leave comments saying if this helps, wasn't helpful, what cars you want to see on the channel. Again, I'm going to be filming another car review or car buyer's guide tomorrow and then on Friday as well. So you're going to get 3 this week, back to regularly scheduled programming next week. And I'm going to try to sprinkle in some more lives as well. Y'all have a great rest of your Wednesday. I can't really think of anything else. About to go get a haircut. So y'all take it easy. And remember, as always, stay safe and have a good one.